Hey everybody, this is going to be my third and hopefully last video of the day, although I could use a haircut too. I'm giving you guys some haircut videos. I'm not an expert, so total disclaimer on that, but I cut all my family's hair, so the worst one last. This is my son. He's 18 months old, or 17 months old, and we're going to cut his hair. So hopefully this will give you guys, since we're all doing social distancing and can't go to the barber or the salon, give you some tips on what we do to survive, especially with young kid haircuts. It's pretty difficult. So here's our little tutorial. So what we have is we have him on a chair in his booster seat, strapped in so he can't go anywhere. If you don't have, you can put him in a high chair. If you don't have something like this, you could have a parent or friend hold him, if that friend is allowed in your house. But just hold him, that will work, but this is a lot better because he can't go anywhere. Henry, can you stop that? I'm gonna scoot back a little so we can't grab onto the gate. So what we're gonna do is we have some clippers, so we are gonna use those. If you don't have clippers, you could do a haircut just with scissors, but it will take longer, and this gives a smoother result for shorter cuts as well. So these are just some clippers we got on Amazon several years ago. We use them every month or two. They work great, and they have removable guards with different lengths. The guard we're going to be using is a number 3 guard, and we're going to do kind of a little shorter around the bottom and a little bit taller on the top. Kid hair is really hard because, especially for him, a lot of his hairline in the front isn't as grown in as I'd like it to be, so it's always hard to get it even, and same thing like the back. If you watch the other video where I cut my husband's hair, the back of his hair gets really nice and squared off and even, but the little baby's hairs are so fine and they don't have like a ton of hair necessarily, so it makes it a little harder, but we'll just do our best and try to make it as even as we can. So we've got that, and we also have some hair cutting scissors. If you do not have hair cutting scissors, you can use other scissors. Ones with a point like this are easier to be able, you're really just using the tip of the scissors, so having something with a nice pointed tip is better. If you have a pair of really sharp scissors, that's best. I said in some of my other videos, if you want to do, if you have a pair of fabric scissors that you're not going to mind sacrificing because hair is really going to dull them, you could use those. But just any kind of scissors, this is whatever works at this point. So we just have some hair cutting scissors, and these were like cheapies that I got at, I don't know, somewhere, maybe even Walmart. So we're going to start with the clippers, then we're going to do the scissors, and we're going to try to get it done as quick as we can so that we don't have him melt down before it's over. Our system is right now he's watching TV so that he is as distracted as possible. So if you've got a little screen time for your day, this is the time to give it to him. And we also have, my husband is on standby on the other side of this wall with some Dum Dum Pops and a cup of water. And what we do is we'll give him the Dum Dum Pop, and if he takes it out of his mouth and it gets covered in hair, because hair is going to be going all over, we swish it around in the water, rinse all the hair off of it, and give it back to him. So we're going to try as long as we can to not give him those, and then once we give them to him, my husband will switch those out or give him new ones, just have a pile of them and sacrifice some of them and whatever it takes to keep them as still as possible. So we're just going to give it a shot. Please don't touch that. Okay, so we'll move him here. So we're going to start with the clippers, and like I said, this is a number 3 guard. We're going to start from the bottom of the hair, and we're going to move our way up. And think of it kind of like a comb, so you're really just kind of combing the hair. With little kids, they get a little, well, it's worse than normal, but we're going to just hold him where we can and trim these hairs. So it's just kind of a comb. We're just going from the bottom up and just catching some of that hair. When you get a lot of hair on there, you kind of throw it off. If you get too much hair in there all at once, it'll pull the hair. So we're just gonna trim. Try to do as much as I can from this angle while he's distracted. Is that fun? Yeah, does it tickle? So like I said, little kids are the hardest for haircuts. So we just try to do what we can to get the angles that we can while he's cooperating with that spot. And it makes noise and it kind of vibrates, and You know, it's a lot for them to do, not to mention sitting still. So it's just patience, maybe a stiff drink beforehand. Do what we can, and then anything you can't get with the clippers too, you can always go back and fix up with the scissors. But the good thing about the clippers is they're just set at one length, so anything you do, you can just get to one length. So it does make it easier. If you do not have clippers, you could do the whole thing with scissors, but like I said, it will take longer, and I wouldn't recommend going quite so short because it would be hard to not have it look really choppy if you do it this short with scissors versus the clippers. But I'm sure it could be done. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So we're just trying to get all these hairs and kind of go in different directions to make sure that I pick up all the little hairs. When I get up towards the crown area, I'm going to leave part of that a little bit longer and fade this short into the taller hair on the top. So when I get up here, I'm kind of pulling the clippers out away from the head as I go up, just to kind of help fade that in so it won't be as much work with the scissors later. So I'm just kind of lifting away as I get up there. And then I'll leave you without so many blunt lines that you're trying to deal with later. So, that's about it. Okay. So, I think we'll do the rest with scissors. It's no torture for there. This way. So, we've mostly got the back done. If your kid has more hair or dark hair, you could probably square up the back. I'm not going to do that for him because it's not really like all grown in. It's still a little choppy baby hair. But what we're going to do is we're going to focus on all this now. So same as the video for my husband, if you watch that one, this is, we're going to leave it longest kind of here, shorter here, but kind of leave all of this long and like almost like a mohawk, but it won't really look that way when it's done. It won't be as extreme as a mohawk sounds. So I kind of start in the front, and I'm going to hold the hair between my fingers like this, and I'm not going to cut straight across. I am going to do tiny little snips, kind of like triangles, across this line. And what that's going to do is make it so that when the hair moves, it doesn't look like a blunt line. Can you sit still? Okay, let's bring in the lollipop. There we go. Lollipop deployed. That's not it, just give it to him. So that'll keep him still for a minute, and then like I said, when that gets covered in hair, which it will because I'm cutting all these little hairs, I try to throw the hairs away, but if he has it out of his mouth and it gets covered in hair, we usually just dip it in a cup of water and swirl it around, dip it in another cup of water, so we have 2 cups of water that are there just to wash things with, or we have a whole pile of the Dum Dum Pops as well, and we just kind of sacrifice some of them to the haircut. So here I'm holding his hair like a mohawk, and I'm just going to trim across this line to start to even it out, but go shorter, because this is where I want it to be the longest. So what this is going to do is these hairs are the longest, and if you pull this hair in, it's going to be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to start with these longest hairs and get them where I think I want them, so that everything else, when I compare it to the long hairs, will be shorter than that. So just do these center parts like this. And then, now you know how tall you want this to be, so everything that comes out this way is going to be a little bit shorter. So you could either pick up pieces of hair the same way you were doing and do it shorter, or you could do it this way, you could do it this way across the head, just anything where you start picking up some pieces of hair, flattening them out between your fingers, and doing those little triangle snips, just to make it shorter and shorter. And what I'm aiming for is, this is where we cut with the trimmer, so this is really short, and I'm gonna do pretty short, a little less short, and the most long, so it just kind of fades into that. You could just take the clippers and run one length all over your kid's head. That would be the easiest haircut if you have clippers, but this with a little more length on top definitely leaves for a little more stylish look. So I'm just holding pieces of hair away from the head and trimming them shorter and shorter as they go out towards where we cut with the clippers. And like my husband's hair, if you watch that video, he does his on the top with some hair product in it, so his will like stand up and have a little more volume up top. So you could do that too with the same haircut. And sometimes I go longer, sometimes I go shorter. Just depends on kind of the mood I'm in. Or it's definitely always good to err on the side of long, and then you have something to adjust with. If something didn't go, take that lollipop and there we go. So we're going to take the hairy lollipop and we're going to switch that one out and give him a fresh one because it got a little hair on it. And like I said, you can swirl that one around in some water and usually the hair will rinse right off, or you can just give him a brand new one. Just whatever keeps little children still is usually my go-to. So I'm just doing some little triangle cuts, trying to even it all out. It's important to try to really put your hands around the hair, see how it moves different directions, because then you'll see where there's still long pieces. Whereas like when this was this way, that doesn't look so bad. When it's this way, then I started to see, oh, this area right here, this looks a little bit long. So I'll just pick that area up. And you can kind of see too, when you put it through your fingers, which areas are longer and which areas are shorter, so that you can get a good idea of where you still need to cut. Hey, buddy, you're doing a good job. So with these little triangles, it's really forgiving too. So that's a good way versus just the straight across cuts. To make sure that you don't have the it looks like you cut your hair at home type haircut. Blow some hair off. You could get a couple of those paper towels wet and maybe just wipe his face with the wet paper towels too. We try to keep him from rubbing hair in his eyes, and also just try to go as quickly as humanly possible so that he doesn't get too antsy or get too much hair all over his face or his eyes. Yeah, is it itchy? Daddy's gonna come help. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Just want to make sure everything on the sides is kind of faded in. Just do like full face. So we're just taking a wet paper towel, wiping his face off. He's happy with his lollipop. Pretty close to done here. So let's see, I think looks like this part back here on the crown is a little long compared to the short part we did, so we're just going to try to fade this in a little bit more back here on his crown. I'm just picking up little pieces of hair and just giving him a little cut. I know. But little kids are very impatient, so I did a video with my daughter before this and said, you know, aim for 85-90% of good, and that's better than trying to make everything perfect and then having them not be patient enough and move around and end up with less good results. So, I'm just gonna look at them a little bit here. Can I have a wet paper towel, dude? What are you doing? You're rubbing hair all over your face. You're rubbing hair all over. Do we have a new lollipop? There we go. There we go. Get all that hair out of there. You want a lollipop? There's a nice new clean one. Okay. So everything right here looks pretty good. I see a little bit on his bangs that I'm just going to try to trim up a little if he'll let me. It's just, I see some long pieces and some short pieces. Around the front of the face is always the hardest because it's what people see and it doesn't blend into other hair. So it's important to try to get those pieces as precise as you can, because even the littlest bit that's a little bit off will make it look like the whole haircut's funky. So like back here could be really like, you know, choppy and messy and it doesn't matter that much, but those ones right in the front of the face, try to focus on those, which is why I usually do those first, and now I'm just kind of coming in and fixing any little spots that I think need it. And again, I'm just moving everything around a lot because it might look uneven, but then when you move it, then it goes to even, so you just try to move it around as much as you can and get it as even as you can. There's also some little pieces right here around his ears. Just gonna trim those a little bit. No. I'll come around this way. I'll come around this way. So just do your best and try to move it around and look at what you're doing. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it. So here we have Henry. Look right here. You want to look up here? Look at this. Here he is, nice and trimmed up. Nice and good. Good haircut. Alright, and now it'll be bath time because we're all covered in hair. So definitely sweep up all the hair and do baths, because if you track all this hair all over your house, it's going to be worse than glitter. So anyway, good luck, hope it helped, and happy social distancing, everybody. Bye-bye.